we like Amazon's clarity. On the other hand, um, last week we saw Google Next. Google is obviously one of the three big clouds. Still at number three, but definitely they are all over the place. They have billions of dollars in revenue coming from cloud, and yet trying to follow Google Next from the outside honestly was not an easy thing to do. It felt like on the one hand, they did probably my least favorite thing that Amazon does, which is when they throw 200 announcements at you to go with their trade show. I think that's the one thing that Amazon should change. But Google decided that's the one thing that we are going to also do. Uh,
That's what they'll follow.
yes. But at the same time, when I looked at the announcements, it was hard to figure out what exactly am I looking at here that is groundbreaking or new or interesting or more than a feature or a me too. Um,
It was the most underwhelming set. I mean, if you go to their website, they it says 218 announcements, and you scroll through it, and some of it is incremental. I mean, it's always sort of the nature of the beast. Clearly they have some interesting stuff going on the chip side. We've talked about that. Um, and I think you and I talked about previously, like some stuff that's like personally interesting. It's, oh, that's okay. I wonder where that's going, but it's tough. I mean, I'm a fan. I think I reference the publication Runtime a lot,
mhm.
and I reread the synopsis again that he put out, and I'm like, there's nothing here. And I'm sure that there's more meat on the bones, and maybe it's a marketing problem, and but the reality is, you and I spend more time on it than most enterprise executives do, and I wasn't willing to invest the time to really like dig so far into the covers to find out what the heck was really going on, that there was anything of interest. It's like, so you know if at first blush and then even some secondary analysis can't highlight anything that's truly like, oh wow, I need to pay attention to that, then you're left scratching your head going, well, what's going on?
Yeah, I watched a fair bit of Google Next because I figured it's my job and I should. But when I was watching these presentations, I felt like I was hearing a lot about why AI was changing the world, which is great. But I felt that felt like a missed opportunity. Google is literally the organization that wrote about how attention is all you need, starting the entire generative AI revolution from a technology and research perspective. They obviously have massive resources. They have as much money as they need to pursue whatever technology they want. And yet, this kind of feels to me like when IBM Watson came out and they had this massive advantage. They had even some impressive initial announcements and results, and then they just let the market fly by them because they could never quite execute at scale as an enterprise product.
That may be a fabulous analogy, and I'm always wary. I don't want to eat my words later, but if I look at and compare this to where IBM, right? IBM was at a point of unfettered dominance. I mean, for a long period of time, and even pre the Watson days,
Mhm.
and really just squandered that. Really just sort of, they are now. I mean, we don't even talk about Prince. They have a cloud too, right? It's like we barely even talk about IBM anymore. And they're obviously still a massive company. They're sort of, they've got lots of run rate business and all of that, but it's a sort of same thing. And I think I saw somebody post on LinkedIn about Google, and it's like, um, are you the last person that still thinks that whatever your favorite Google app is still going to be around, right? Because it's like they
Mhm.
go and throw something out there, they try for a while, and then they sunset it, and they have really struggled. I mean, leaving the enterprise, I think they've really struggled to find anything other than search that has really been able to truly generate market for them, and in any really meaningful way. And of course, now search is under a massive threat from generative AI. And so, I will never count them out. To your point, they've got so much money, and there's like just an army of super, super smart people. But it does seem directionally like they're struggling. And particularly from an enterprise perspective, I look at this and go, going back to what I just said a minute ago, I'd probably be hedging my bet. If I'm a CIO today, I probably have stuff sprinkled everywhere because it makes some sense to not have all my eggs in one basket. These are really big bets going on. I'm not worried about Google's viability. I'm not worried about them going anywhere. I'm not worried about security. All of those things, right? So they check all those boxes that they're worth, but it's also, I'm probably not looking at them as a core partner just because there's just nothing here that's making me say I need to be there. And going all the way back to some of the conversations that we had about Oracle, I think Oracle is doing a better job. I think, if anyone's vulnerable to Oracle kind of surging, it's going to be Google, because
Mhm.
Oracle does have, at least from an enterprise perspective, right, has that enterprise foothold. They've got the salespeople, they know how to sell it, and they've got some killer apps between the autonomous database, between their financials, right? So that really can pull people into their cloud. Whereas, Google is right now just playing like an also ran, and I sort of don't understand it.
Yeah, I think I think probably Thomas Kurian has done what he can with the Google Cloud infrastructure and product set, but when you sunset products on a regular basis and do not have the same reputation for enterprise support as Oracle or Microsoft, and you don't have the customer centricity focus that Amazon has, it's hard to compete. When I think of Amazon and Microsoft, sure, they mess up at times, but are they customer centric, and do they want to be absolute number one, best at what they do? Yes. Microsoft wants to give you the apps and be the best at it. Amazon wants to provide those foundational products to customers and be the best at it. And they know that's what they do. And they talk about it every single day. And when I think about Google as an enterprise product, I think they're also bringing their scale to the enterprise. But that's as far as it goes. Other than scale, they haven't figured out what they really stand for from an enterprise perspective. And even with Oracle, I know what Oracle stands for in the enterprise. They have, whatever, 40, 50 years of,
And
yeah.
no question. And let's not forget, I mean, we've been hinting at this for a while, right? It is tempting right now with all the focus on AI and all of the fact that so much of it's driven by hardcore infrastructure, literally all the way down to chips, to get lost in that. But at the end of the day, an enterprise runs on their apps, right? It runs on what's sitting on top of it. And the infrastructure is a necessary and can be, transformative and enabling, but it's still sort of the necessary evil, right? It's the application layer that everything gets done at. And so, and I would argue it's, when I say application, I'm including in that two really critical components. And we have some news about both of these that we should be talking about. And that is both the data layer and then the process layer, right? That really make up the foundations of apps. And that's really where the average CIO spends the vast majority of their time, right? And so I know there are two wildly different announcements, wildly different scales here, that I think sort of directionally talk about this and why maybe someone like a Google is struggling, because they're sort of stuck in no man's land. But I don't know if you want to bring these up.